And we are live. I'm Adam. This is Open Late. And if you've ever tuned in before, I'm sure you are aware how much I love the blue and yellow X-Men suits from the Uncanny X-Men issue 275. It was a double issue. It had one of my absolute favorite comic book covers of all time as an impressionable youth in my formative years, my teenage years. X-Men was my go-to comic book. Um, and man, I'm so excited to get these figures. This is almost on the same level for me as getting an articulated Robin Hood from the Disney's Robin Hood. Um, and it's the only thing that I can think of that might match this is my Animal Warriors of the Kingdom figures, which I still have yet to receive. Um, Although Jason assures me he hasn't lost my order. The good news is I can potentially add to my order tomorrow. Kato knows what I'm talking about. Just jump into the chat here and say good evening to everybody. Masterversal Toy Hunters here. Evening there, my good sir. Evening to you as well, Masterversal Toy Hunter. Kato's hanging out. Let's get this party started. Absolutely, and this is a party, man. Uncanny X-Men 275, such a good comic book. I realized as I was sort of prepping for this a little bit that I haven't read it in so long and I should really reread it. The cover is like burned into my memory, but the actual content of that particular issue, I can't remember. I was actually watching a couple of YouTube videos when I should have just pulled the issue out and read it myself. But anyway, Masterversal says his favorite X-Men being Rogue. Well, we didn't get Rogue in this, and if you know what was going on at the time of Uncanny X-Men 275, you would know why. I believe she was sort of hanging out with Magneto, not hanging out with these guys at the time. So Michael is in the chat as well. Tyler's hanging out. Smiler67. Michael says Adam and his AWOC again. Hey man, I'll tell you what. I haven't been that excited for like a new IP in a long time. And Michael, if you haven't read the comic book and you want to, let me know. I'll make sure that you get at least the first issue of the comic book, because the figures look great, and the designs of those figures alone and the reviews on those figures alone would be enough for I think a lot of people to pick them up. But the comic book, the lore, the story that we're gonna get is phenomenal, and really sold me even further. I'm looking at these figures today because of the comic book. AWOC is like the other way around. It's like the figures looked really cool, and then the comic book kind of pushed me over the edge. So 90s X-Men cartoon theme intensifies. You know what? If I wouldn't have gotten hit with a copyright, well, you know what? I'm not monetized. What difference does it make? I should have played that as my intro song. But I'm lazy and I didn't download it and load it into StreamYard. I don't know if StreamYard would let you play it. They might just be like, yo, you can't play that. I don't know. Michael says, I read it all. It's awesome. Unfortunately, I made a decision to stick with Legions, Action Force, and Classified. Very tempting, though. Fair enough. And that's, you've got a lot of collecting to do there. Legion, I mean, I'm going to be opening more Legions pretty soon. All Stars 5 is coming up, and coming up soon. As soon as the AWOC figures come, I'll be opening those as well. But anyway, moving on. Let's get into this. Let's take a look. So of course I had to have my my Wolverine from X-Men 275, and for this special occasion, because I'm unboxing more of these, I decided to pose him up just like the cover. which seems like it would be easy, but it's a really unnatural pose, and it actually it was hard to get him sort of in the right pose. But anyway, we'll move him aside for the time being. He can just here, I'll put him in here so he's out of the way. He can just you know, be grumpy and fussy over there, as Wolverine is prone to do. On the front of the box, you know, you kind of don't notice it at first glance, but behind the figures, we actually get the cover from X-Men 275, just sort of in a blue kind of monotone type of thing. Then we get, I believe, digital renders of the figures on the front there, X-Men on the bottom, Legend, Storm, Forge, and Jubilee. Marvel's Forge. I guess somebody else has a Forge as well, so they have to specify Marvel's Forge. 60 years on the top. I think that's it's crazy. It's 60 years of X-Men. I mean, I've been around for a big chunk of that, but not all of it. On the one side, and it's too big, so I can't show it to the camera in full side view. But we get, again, the same renders, and then on the other side, we get the art from 275 as well. I can't show it because my desk is too small. And then again, the figures on the back was sort of alternate stuff. So we get different hands on Storm, and then we are sort of shown what other stuff they come with. My only gripe with this set, just in terms of like what I know we're getting, is that Forge's weapon on there is not the same as he had on the cover, but I'll let it slide. You know, Forge can sort of have whatever weapon he wants. You know, that's kind of his jam. So maybe this is just another one of the weapons that he had on hand at the time. Just great figures. These are a lot of fun. I'm going to open these ones tonight. I meant to do them 2 nights in a row, but the reason that I'm doing this one on Tuesday is because Wednesday I can't do a video. So I'm doing these today, and then on Thursday night I will do the other 3-pack, and then I'll have all of them opened, and I think I'm going to try to pose them like on the cover, and take a very bad picture, and really expose how bad of a photographer I am, but that's okay. What in they don't want to come out of the box. The box got a little bit squished. The UPS man, or whoever it was not as gentle with my box as I would have liked. So let's try this from the other side. Let's see if it'll come out from there. We go. All right, so as is sort of the norm now, we get inside that very fun, colorful box. I get this nondescript brown box. Flip it open. We get these wax paper accessory bags. And then the action figures are in like stasis. You can see they're like, it's creepy because you can see their heads. You know which one is which, but they're like in these weird cocoons. It reminds me of like an Alien movie or something like that. Like it's almost cobweb like or spiderweb like. It's kind of weird. Not that I care. I'm opening them all, so. I intentionally picked this 3-pack to open today because I am admittedly a little bit more excited for the other 3-pack. largely because like all three of these figures I've got. I've got a Jubilee, I've got a Forge, I've got I want to say 4 Storms. But none of them are the 275 figures. Exactly. Close, but not exactly. And I will get to that shortly. All right, so there they are. See, this is, I mentioned this in another thing. Like coming out of the package now, they don't come out as nice as when they came out of the tray. That's my only complaint about the plastic free packaging. Like Storm's feet, one's up, one's down. She's like dancing, like da da da, right? Da da da. And she is gonna get a nice warm bath to loosen up those joints. But in the meantime, pretty tight, pretty tight. So let's see if she will stand. So that, and she's not going to. And the fact that I'm doing this with 3 figures, I now realize may have been a mistake, because if they don't stand up, it's gonna look ridiculous if they're all just lying on the ground. All right, we'll do accessories first, and then I'm going to go in reverse order, because right away there's a couple things about this that I don't absolutely love. These guys look great, but anyway. So as far as accessories go, we get the bubblegum chewing Jubilee head. We get 1 pair of sunglasses, which is fine because I think I still have like spares from the other Jubilee, the sort of cartoon accurate Jubilee. We get a spare set of hands that are, in this case, fists. Pretty straightforward, small, tiny Marvel Legends female fists. And then we get a couple effects, but strangely, like, these aren't really the effects that I probably would have wanted or probably would have gone with for Jubilee. I would have gone with like the Dazzler magic effects, or they're not magic, I guess it's a mutant ability, but then if you know which ones I'm talking about, you kind of know what I mean. They just, to me, they sort of suit Jubilee's powers a little bit more. Quickly take a look at the figure. Standard female Marvel Legends body, more or less. My complaint here is that the paint apps on this one aren't as good. It looks like they kind of, it's just not as clean as Storm or Forge. The wrists and the shoulders both look like they probably needed like 1 more layer of paint. I don't know if you can see it or not, but you can almost like see the blue through the paint, which is not the case on the torso. The torso looks fine. Paint apps are fine. It's new legs because they've got these sort of molded in straps, and the boots are new because it's the molded in boots. She looks good. Very quickly gonna take a look. I think it's the same head sculpt, but the deco's better. The eyes are way better. Let me just pop the sunglasses off. No, these are still glued on because I was smart enough not to take the glue off. But I think you can see, the eyes, like they're not the same. This is painted much better. So that's an improvement. Now, will she stand for more than 20 seconds? Probably not. We'll see. Just by sheer will, maybe she'll stand up there. Quickly just check in with the comments. People talking about Joe's. Masterverse says popped a few of the new classifieds on pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store. Michael says, awesome wave from the Joe team. Absolutely right. Kelly says, in regards to Wolverine, he's the best at what he does, and being grumpy is absolutely that. Tyler asked, here's the question. Would issue 275 be as awesome without Jim Lee artwork? And would we have gotten these figures? Short answer, no. To me, the X-Men, like, to me, just because of sort of when I got into the X-Men in large part because of Jim Lee's art. So for me, there kind of wouldn't be an X-Men without Jim Lee, and the animated series was right around that time as well, and they used his designs. So in my mind, the success of the X-Men is inextricably linked to Jim Lee's depiction of them. Master Bristol says, I pre-ordered Torpedo, CoverGirl, and Outback. Those are all very good choices. Eternian Ellipse is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Kelly says, I really like we kind of got these costumes in X-Men First Class. Yes, me too. I thought it was kind of a cool nod to these designs, to the sort of team suits. I go both ways in the sense that, like, I love the team suits. Like, I love these team suits. And like, I think the big complaint about these figures is that people kind of go like, oh, they're all the same. You know, they're all in the same suit. And to me, that's what makes them great. Now, you know, Jubilees, you know, this version of Jubilee is fantastic. Wolverine in the tiger stripes, Storm in just about any suit looks dope. Like all of her costumes, all of her sort of outfits, all of her deco, whatever you kind of want to call it, have all been good, which is why I have so many of them. I don't even necessarily love Storm as a character. She's great. She's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I really do like her. She's not at the, like, she's never been at the top of my list. She's just always been like really cool. But you know, like, I have the black and the white costume versions of the 90s one, because they're both great and they're both correct. Master Versus says, I unboxed my Too Bad there, and the forearms will not move whatsoever. It was the same with Brick and Oz's figures. Yup. And I tried my heater, but no, so I'll try hot water next. Hot water is, like, for me at least, I've never had an issue once I've done hot water. The benefit for me of the hot water bath is that you get the whole figure more or less a uniform temperature, and it tends to work really, really well. Scott's hanging out. What's going on, my friend? Scott, any news on your AWOC figures? We're getting closer, bud. Brick something, you're in the same boat, I think. We're still just waiting on these figures. But now, that Too Bad, I think if you put him in hot water, you'll probably end up getting him to move a little bit. Tyler, I think you need a thin rubber mat for table. It helps the figures stand better. Plus, it cushions their fall. Just a suggestion. I'm not worried about them falling. And a rubber mat would just be one more thing I would have to put on the desk and take off the desk. Because as soon as I'm done, this all gets stripped off, and I got other stuff that's like on the floor that I'm going to put back on the desk. And then I'll do that all over again on Thursday to do the next video. So, STI shows to have a label created. Oh, there you go. I mean, you're a little bit further ahead. All right, next up we've got Forge, and Forge, of course, we've gotten before, more or less in this suit. It's not quite the same. He came with the boots with the tassel. The leg is different as well. They've updated the leg. the whole body is an update. Like it's a brand new buck. They haven't reused it. The head um appears to be a brand new head sculpt as well. So that's good news. Not that this one was bad, but this one is just better, in my opinion. And yeah, it's brand new because this is now more or less pinless. There's only pins in the top of the knee, which is interesting, which means this is likely reuse from somewhere else. I don't know where. I'm not buying a ton of Legends figures at the moment, so. But yeah, that's they both look great, and I absolutely loved this one. For years and years and years. But this is definitely the better version, the upgraded version. Now his belt is sitting funny again. I think heat is going to fix that, but the belt fits nice and snug. It is a separate piece, but it's not loosey goosey. It's not going anywhere. And again, they've molded the straps into the legs and into the boots. If you're familiar with sort of previous versions, like um, the previous version of Cyclops, these straps were not attached. You could glue them on, but they weren't part of the sculpt, so especially the thigh ones would slip, which was a pain in the butt. We even get the cuff like on the collar. That one is not attached properly. There's a little bit of like skin showing through. I'm going to try to adjust that. I'm hoping with a little bit of heat I can move that and kind of glue it back. It's on the back, so it's not really that big of a deal. I'm trying to get it so you can sort of see what I mean. But I don't even know if you can. You can probably sort of make it out. There's a little bit of the flesh tone in between the collar piece and the yellow on his back, but it's covered pretty well by the ponytail, and you're only going to see it from the back essentially. So a much better buck, a much better body. Forge is one of those characters where he was like so iconic in the comics, but he doesn't get a lot of love because he wasn't in the cartoon. I guess maybe there wasn't as much going on with him. He gets the hands that he comes with, which look like they're going to be perfect for holding this gigantic, sci-fi looking space weapon, which is surprisingly straight. But it has that sort of techno-organic look to it. It doesn't look like any weapon I've ever seen. It's got fins and there's good paint. There's sort of like a metallic brown on the back. The majority of it's silver, and then there's little hits of light pink. The front end, the barrel end, matches the back there too. So, and it's not symmetrical left to right. There's all these sort of little greebly sort of bits, which is very on brand for Forge. So that's a really cool weapon, and I'm sort of happy that he has something that we haven't seen before, to the best of my knowledge. He also comes with spare hands, which again, in this case, are fists, which are fine. He's probably always going to have those hands that came on the figure in my on my shelf. So. Last, but of course not least, we have Storm, who is, Omega level and just a badass X-woman. Accessory wise, we get, again, more small female Marvel Legends fists. Boring. But we do get these great lightning hands, so she's shooting lightning out of her fingers. The paint apps on these are admittedly terrible. One's a little bit better than the other, but I will probably not be able to show it very well because I don't think I'll be able to focus it quite enough. But the sculpt of the lightning is sort of continues up the fingers, but the paint, they just kind of slopped it on right to the end of the fingers. So clearly somebody put a lot of work into the sculpt, and then the painter, meh, just kind of threw some paint on there. Display wise, I don't think they're going to look that bad. I think once you sort of get them on a display and you're not right up close to them and you're not, you know, nitpicking them a little bit, they'll be fine. But they look like dollar store paint apps. The figure itself is very, very nice. As I said before, sort of in comparison to Jubilee, the paint on this figure is much better than the Jubilee figure. Largely because I think a lot of it is sculpt. The suit sort of gets transitioned blue to yellow, but other than that, the cuffs are a separate piece, and whereas Jubilee's they're painted on. She is a double jointed knees and elbows. So, the Legends team is sort of doing more and more females with the double jointed knees and elbows, which I'm very, very pleased about. New head sculpt. It's a very nice head sculpt as well. I'm quite impressed. And the paint apps on that are very nice. She also has the collar, and it's crooked, so I'm going to fix her collar as well. Hers isn't glued, so it's actually really easy to move. Which is a bonus. But I'll probably heat it up to straighten it. It's a little bit crooked, and because I'm gonna heat her up to flex the joints and stuff like that, I have no problem doing that. I don't have a problem with heating up joints to make my figure not break. I get that people are kind of like, oh, you shouldn't have to do that because these cost a lot of money. Sure, that's fine. You know, take the risk if you want to. I just prefer not to take the risk. I've been doing it since before people were kind of talking about it, heating them up, I mean. But yeah, the head sculpt's really good, really, really good. And I'm probably going to end up seeing if that head sculpt will work on the other figures as well, because she did have that haircut and sort of wear the 90s suit as well, pretty much after this issue. So there they are, because I can't pose them. That's kind of all I got, which is weird. Like, I just ripped through that. I guess there's not a ton to talk about, and usually I take way more time with the comments, but I really wanted to get a better look at these figures, a closer look. And they're fantastic. Like I said, if you like, Uncanny X-Men 275, or you like the suit or whatever, I would strongly recommend them. I think, unlike a lot of Marvel Legends offerings recently, I think these, from what I remember at least, these were like a pretty decent value for money. They weren't sort of ridiculously overpriced like some things have been recently. Like the Cobra Viper 3-pack. Anyway, yeah, and they're sort of an instant team. That's the other complaint, that people have about Marvel Legends, is often that, like, if you want to get a whole team, you got to wait like 3, 4, 5 years, because they release, one character per wave, and it's sort of like one wave or two waves per year of like X-Men or whatever. So the fact that we could kind of order, I think I ordered all of these at the same time, like or more or less at the same time. Sorry about that. So I didn't have to wait, and the fact that I can sort of get the whole team means that I did. If I would have had to wait, I might not have. Who am I kidding? I would have, but I would have wanted to know that they were all coming on. I got him, like in January, I think, right around Christmas time ish. And then I got these a little while after that, and then I got the other one just like last week. So I had to wait on the 3-packs. I didn't want to open one and not have the other, because I'm definitely going to get these guys all on a shelf together. So Brick says, "I love these classic X costumes." Yeah, you and me both, man. Like, they're just so iconic. Like, there's been a lot of great ones even since these. Like Um, the Uncanny X-Men run that who was it? Or what was it? There was the X-Men team where like Cyclops had the his mask was in an X rather than just sort of a strip across. And the team had Emma Frost and Magneto, and like that was the looks for that one were really really good, but they're not iconic. Like they don't have, this had the cartoon sort of at the time. I think this is the height. This was the height of it. The X-Men. Maybe not specifically these costumes, but like the 90s was the peak pinnacle for the X-Men. Although Hickman's run on the X-Men, like the House of X and Powers of X, really fantastic. And I like what they're doing. But apparently it's coming to an end. So I might be out again. Let's see. Brick says, I personally prefer the New Mutants black and yellow color scheme, though. I love that too. And I think this is a nod to that. And I would love to get that team as well. I thought we might when they did. I think it was a Walgreens exclusive in the States. It was GameStop here, but they did the Danny Moonstar Karma Wolfsbane, where it was sort of Danny Moonstar, but they gave you the heads and the hands to do the other ones. But then they never did the guys. And that costume wasn't quite accurate. Like it wasn't quite the original one. And I really wish we would have got that. I still think we could. I mean, I think depending on how successful this turns out to be, maybe we'll get the New Mutants. The New Mutants movie being terrible probably didn't help that cause, but too bad about the FX hands because the lightning looks rad. Well, the thing is, right? Like I said, if they're on your display, they're not. This isn't going to be the angle that they're at on your display, right? You're probably either going to see the inside of the hand or you're going to see some sort of angle. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's not going to bother me. It's not something that I'm going to think about when they're on my shelf. But Kelly says, loudly waiting to complete the Serpent Society. Yeah. Master Rose says, indeed, about something. I don't know what. I'm not always reading these in sort of real time as I'm talking. Cyclops was right era, yeah, absolutely. With white Magneto, was that Madureira? Not as the writer, potentially as the artist. I think the writer was Remender, but I can't remember. Should I look? Because I think I have it. Like, right. Hold on. No, sorry. I was thinking of the Uncanny X-Force was Remender. This was the era that I was talking about. The Michael Bendis Uncanny X-Men. And that's the Cyclops that I was talking about. And yes, Magneto had a white costume and Magic was in the team and Emma Frost was in black. And it was just kind of it was kind of badass. Yeah, there you go. This is a trade, so this isn't like that. And Magneto didn't have any sleeves either. I don't know why. Anyway, good book. But not as iconic. That's all I'm saying. It's just not as iconic. This is iconic. These guys are iconic. The Jim Lee version of the X-Men on X-Men Volume 2, I think, issue 1. And if you know the one that I'm talking about, you know the one that I'm talking about. The one with Magneto in the bubble and then all the X-Men sort of attacking him. That's the iconic X-Men. That's the one. That's basically what they used for the animated series. That's the one that everybody knows. That's the one that everybody that isn't an X-Men fan knows. Um, yes, Bendis. That was the last time I was buying single issues. I'm back to buying single issues because it's kind of more fun. I like getting the books kind of episodically. Um, and I'm more likely to stick with a book when I'm buying single issues. Michael, gotta go to sleep. Good night, Chance. Good night to you too. I will chat with you again very soon. Hopefully you can tune in again on Thursday. Brick said, yeah, these are iconic because they were also how the team looked originally. Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right. Plus just simple designs. Yep. Minimalist and graphic, dope costumes. Yep. I think there was a big move away from like costumes sort of right around this time too, because like every team, I'm thinking of like teams that had matching outfits seemed to sort of not be as popular, or have pretty dramatic costume changes, or have changes where like their costumes were more thematic. Like team wise, their costumes became somewhat more thematic than they were like these are obviously like, okay, here's your suit, put it on. And I think there was even a thing with these suits that like they were one size fits all, if I'm not mistaken. Like, and there was like they explained why they had matching suits again or something. I can't remember now. Like I said, I haven't read it in so long. I should go back, but it's yeah, I mean these are my X-Men. These and the Jim Lee ones that I already had. But I've said this before, and it was a conversation that was had sort of just before these got released, where I was saying that I was pretty much out on Marvel Legends, and the only way that they were going to bring me back was with these suits, specifically the Uncanny X-Men 275 blue and yellow suits, or if they did Generation X. And I've got those Generation X figures on pre-order as well. So they got me. They got me. I'm the mark for for what they're doing with the X-Men figures right now. Anyway, that's all I got tonight, guys. Like I said, I'm going to open the other 3-pack, which is, of course, Gambit, Banshee, and Psylocke on Thursday night, pretty much around the same time, 8 o'clock for me, whatever time it is for you guys. So hopefully you guys can all come and join me for that one, because it is always more fun to open toys with your friends. So thank you all for joining me, and anybody that is in the replay, thank you for watching, taking the time. To anybody that watched me build that Lego set, I apologize. I promise I'll never build a Lego set live again. That was a chore. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And if you want to get alerts of when I'm going to be going live, hit that notification button. Or check out the Instagram page or the Facebook page, or I'll do smoke signals or something. I don't know. Hit the notification button. That's probably the easiest way. Anyways, I will see you guys. Well, I won't see you guys, but I'll talk to you all again on Thursday, hopefully.